Hi, this is Nick, and I'm here to review Kino Lorber's Blu-ray release of Old Boyfriends, which will be available August 18th, 2020. It is, of course, the directorial debut of Joan Tewkesbury, and after this, she would direct only television features. Of course, Ms. Tewkesbury is best known for writing two phenomenal Robert Altman films, Thieves Like Us and Nashville. So this I would describe as an obscure gem that I can't believe is not better known than it is, but also I think it's because it was ahead of its time. It was written by Paul and Lawrence Schrader, and this was around the time Paul Schrader had done Hardcore, his sophomore directorial effort, and would be about to go on to do American Gigolo. It stars Talia Shire as Dianne Cruz. It opens with a phenomenal intense sequence of a car crashing into a barrier on a Los Angeles freeway before we skip to Talia Shire, who has just obviously gone through some kind of trauma and is reading through her old diaries and decides that in order to better understand who she is now, she needs to figure out who she was then, as re-experienced through the relationship she had with the men in her life. So she kind of goes back from the most recent, before her marriage. So she goes to see Richard Jordan in Denver, who's now a commercial director, and she kind of bonds with him. They have some sweet moments. She meets his teenage daughter. He's now divorced. But things end a little awkwardly, and she suddenly leaves the next morning. And he's disappointed enough to the affect him to kind of go figure out what's going on with her because he's worried about her. She's then off to Minneapolis to see John Belushi in a sequence that is delightfully vengeful. And then she goes back to her hometown even further to meet her first boyfriend, who's now dead, died in military service. So instead, she kind of has an awkward experience with his younger, psychologically fragile brother, played by Keith Carradine, who holds himself responsible for his older brother's death. It's also important to note she's a clinical psychologist, so she tries to, because the mother of Keith Carradine recognizes her, so she's like, oh, maybe I can, draw him out of his shell a little bit, and so, which ends up with her making him dress in his dead brother's clothes and then having sex with him, which causes a psychotic breakdown. A really well-written scene where his therapist gives her a dressing down, sends her back to Los Angeles to sulk about the poor choices she's made, to where Richard Jordan finds her again, and they have a very nice kind of hopeful moment about what future connection might look like for her. It feels very ahead of its time because it's about a woman trying to find herself, but ultimately lost because she's doing it through men. Thanks to the Richard Jordan tangent, we find out she lied about her past husband killing himself. She, in fact, was the one who attempted suicide in the beginning in that car. Buck Henry had left her for PJ Souls, one of the cast members of Halloween, of course, among several other things. It's just the score by David Shire plays like a horror film. It's very unsettling in all the scenes where she's driving and narrating from her diary. David Shire, of course, wrote compositions for a variety of different films, including Norma Ray and Monkey Shines and Night Mother. It was lensed by William Fraker, who of course shot the iconic car chase sequences in the Steve McQueen film Bullitt by Peter Yates, as well as a Diane Keaton film I'm still waiting for them to put on Blu-ray, Looking for Mr. Goodbar, which I love. But all in all, it's a film that's ahead of its time. Talia Shire is never better. I had the opportunity last September to see a screening of this at the Aero Theater from the American Cinematography in Los Angeles. Talia Shire, Joan Tewkesbury, and Keith Carradine showed up to discuss the film. It's just one of those lost classics of adult cinema that isn't really tackled or made today, in America at least. But in Talia Shire, who of course was a two-time Oscar nominee by this point for Godfather 2 and Rocky, I believe, I think this is one of her unsung performances. I would give the film 4 out of 5 stars, and Kino Lorber's Blu-ray release of it 3 out of 5. Thank you.